This webinar is on plot layouts in IRRICAD Standalone. IRRICAD can place a layout on your design, and this comes complete with the legend of products that are used in the design. So here we can see the pipes list and the valve and sprinkler list of the products in the design, and we can also see information about the design come through on the plot layout. The information that you can see there, and that also comes through onto the report headers, comes from particular fields in the settings. The information about your client will come from Settings Client, and you should enter this information for each new design. Information about your company will come from Settings Company. Now, once entered, you won't need to enter it again. IRRICAD will remember what you put in this dialog. Information about the particular design you would enter into Settings, Design Details, and you would do that for every design as well. Standalone uses a plot template to create the layout. We can see a list of the available templates that are available in the Templates folder that your settings are pointing to. The templates use keywords that have been inserted, which pull the information through from the dialogues that we looked at earlier. So here we can see where we can get the information about your company, the site, the client name, designer name, design date, and things like that. In Help Topics, in the technical reference, there is a list of plot template keywords in Appendix I, and here we can see that the flag keyword is for your company name. The TITL or title is for the design site. CLNT is the client name. DESR is for the designer name. X-date is for the date the design was started. This is the date that IRRICAD automatically fills in when you start a new design. And the SCAL is for the scale that we create the layout at based on the design extents or area of interest. And here we have a list of other keywords that you can use. Now some items actually have more than one keyword. Here we can see that for designer there's a couple of them. For the design date there's a couple of options too that you can use. We also included detailed templates in the version 21 release. So this gives you an option to have more information pulled through into the layouts. And we've added things like the design details description, the notes from those design detail settings, job address, client address and phone number, and a client code if that's relevant to you. Also, the quote number is something that we've added here. So this is the key write template. And if we go to the bottom of that, you'll see that I've added some dates where you can put in who drew it, who checked it, who approved it, and the signatures. One thing that you can do with these templates is what I've done. We don't have a dialog field for the checking date or for the approval date. And so what I've done is I've used some fields that I don't normally use. I've used the commencement date from the design details dialog as the checked date. And from the same dialog I've used the completion date or the end date as the approved signature date. But if those are fields that you use, then you can actually change which field you want to use to put the relevant information into and use the corresponding keyword. For plot date, I've put in the current date, and I've also added the company address, company phone, and company city. Now we're looking at modifying templates. These templates can be created or modified by yourselves if you wish to. In the plot template menu, you'll see a list of the tools that are required to create or modify templates for use in IRRICAD Standalone. We do recommend that you edit existing templates rather than starting from scratch. The reason for that is that the size of the templates have to be a particular size, very specific. But there is a tutorial on how to start from scratch too if you want to do all that extra work. Each template requires an active area and you'll see on all your templates, if you zoom in far enough, that there's a dashed yellow rectangle just around the outside of the template border. So if you are starting from scratch, you would draw a rectangle and you would tell it to be the active area. Now this is very important because this is how IRRICAD can scale your drawing to the paper based on the calculated or specified scale. Templates should also have fills in them. Ensure that when you are saving your template, you have the fills there, and that when required, you enable the Keep Fills checkbox in the plot layout dialog. This is important because if you were printing part of your plan, or particularly if you've got an image underneath, then the fills will block the underlying information in critical places. So that of course is around the outside border and also under the legend and information areas. It's a little bit hard to read if you don't have the fills there. Templates typically have legends in them. There is a template that has no legend, just a border, but typically most of them have legends, and in the templates that have the legends along the bottom, there tends to be more than one place for these legends. Now the legend consists of a fill, a placeholder line or symbol, and some sort of text. It doesn't have to be hash text hash. It can be anything. It simply tells IRRICAD what font, what size, and the placement of the text that you require. The line and the symbol simply tell IRRICAD where you want the pipe or wire line or the valve and outlet symbol placed in the legend. These will be replaced with actual line types and actual symbols from the database for that product. Here are a few tips for when you are creating or editing templates. Tip number 1 is that if you are going to put in new fills for your legend or behind the information area, don't use the white at the end of the top row because this is your black-white flip-flop color. Instead, use the white that is on the first square on the second row. This will print white. The other one will print black because it's on a white surface, and it knows this even if you're using a black background. The second tip is to set your background color to something other than white, and this is so that you can clearly see the fills. If you're happy using a black background, you can keep it. Because I tend to work in a light background, I'm often using the grey, and that works quite well if you're used to the lighter background. You can turn the fills off in Settings Drawing Items or by using the 2-letter code TF. So simply just type it when you're not in any other tool and it will turn the fills off or turn the fills on. This is helpful when you're trying to find or select things. Sometimes items go and hide behind the fill, and therefore sometimes it's just helpful to turn off or just toggle those fills on and off. But remember to turn them back on again before creating the legends and saving the template, as they are part of the plot template and can be used when you need to just blank out everything behind. Some templates have more than one legend, as I mentioned before, and this is for situations where the number of items exceeds what the legend can hold. There is a limited amount of space that IRRICAD can enter the product. So if it can only hold 10 products in this legend, if you've got 12 products, you're going to need another legend for it to carry on. And if that one is filled up and there is no other legend for it to go to, those items simply will not be listed in the plot layout. It doesn't automatically know that it has a certain number of items to fit into the legends. It basically has a limit on the number it can hold, and that will be based on your line spacing and the size of your text. When we create the legends, we give them an order number of use. So if we want the bottom legend to fill first, we will have an order number of 1, or at least lower than the one above. But typically we go 1, 2, and if there's another one, 3. If you are adding text or keywords, you can set the cursor to the large crosshairs to help with lining up text. Okay, we've finished with the tips now, and we'll look at the methodology of modifying templates. So we're going to be modifying a template, or I'm going to be modifying a template in a moment. I'm going to change the font and size of the legend text. So my process is to set the background color, explode the legends, edit the placeholder text to the new font and size that I want to use, and I can toggle those fills on and off as needed. And then once I've made those changes, I'm going to select the placeholder line or symbol, select the text, select the legend fill. So those are the three elements that are required in every legend, and you can use a combination of selection tools. Now the reason why I say that it's going to be quite handy to use the control click to select things, but it does not allow you to add multiple things. As soon as you control click on something else, it deselects. So it's quite handy to use control click to select the fill, and then the select window to select the placeholder and the text. And then action make legend, and we'll have recreated our legends with the new text font and size. I'm also going to modify the template to add a company logo. So to do this, I'm going to delete the flag keyword because that is the one that pulls through the company name from our company information dialog. Then I'm going to import the image, select the logo file, place it as I want it, and then when all that is done, we can select the whole template including the outside fills, and we can save the template. So let's go and do that now. Plot template, edit template, select the template that you want to change. So here we can see that when we're editing, the parts of the template are individual except for the legends. I've got fills off at the moment, so TF should turn them on. Okay, so what we want to do first is explode these legends. So I'm holding the control key down now to control click to select and then explode on each legend. I'm going to change the font just to a different type of Arial and change the height slightly. So probably not the font that you would want, but it makes a nice demonstration. Okay, so when you're happy with your changes, we need to select the fill. I've gone control click. Now I'm going to use the select window around the area that I know the placeholder and text is, and then go to plot template and make legend. Now if you haven't selected the three elements, the tool will let you know, because you can't make a legend if you don't have all of the elements. Okay, so I've selected the top one, which I don't want to fill first. I want to fill it second. And you can change the line spacing. So 50% is 50% of the text size. Oh, sorry, I never changed my background color. Changing this to a non-white color will assist, as at this stage you need the fills to be on. Okay, TF will turn the fills back on, and we'll select this bottom pipe legend. It appears that I may have somehow deleted the fill for this legend. Well, that's okay. We're going to draw the fill in, which I was going to show you anyway, but on a new one. What we'll do is we will turn off the fills, and that's simply so I can see some outlines and get the size of the fill that I want. I'm changing my default color to that white color that's not going to flip-flop. I'm going to draw my fill. Firstly, draw a rectangle. I'm going to fill the selection. Now the reason why I'm filling the selection and not seeding it is because depending on how many items are on the screen, VisualCAD might have an issue with trying to fill the one thing that you want filled, simply because there's a limit of the number of things it can see when you're trying to use that tool. Turn fills back on. I'm selecting the new fill and then selecting Move Fills to Back from the Plot Template menu. This is the necessary process when making new legends. Now to recreate this legend, select all three items. I'm using the control click to select the fill and the select window to select the line and text components. Now select Make Legend. As we want this pipe legend to fill first, the order is correct at 1. Now let's repeat the selection process for the other two legends. Select this fill and select window to select the other elements. make legend. And remember to change the type, as this is a symbol legend that we are creating now, and this location is the second fill order. Now let's finish with the last symbol legend area, which will have a fill order of 1. Now the other thing that we wanted to change was that instead of having the company name written there, we just want the logo. So I'm going to select the keyword for the company name and delete it, and then I can import an image and place it where I want it. I'm just going to move that down a little bit so I can still see the top line. Well, the other thing that you can do is click on it and select Z order and move to back, so it's sitting behind whatever you want to see on top. Alternatively, with these logos, if they have a border on them and you don't want to show the border, you can turn it off so that it has a clean look about it. When you are ready to save your changes, make sure that you select the outside fills as well as all the other elements. Select window works well here. Use plot template, save template, and give it a name. In this case, it's an A4 key bottom logo, for example, so I can save that. And that also means that we can go and use it on a plan and see the information in the new font with a company logo instead of a typed company name. Are there any questions?
Joe, there was a question about the plot order. Was that with the legends?
Yes.
Yeah. So I think the bottom ones she had is 1. So these legends on the left are for pipe. The bottom had an order of 1. The top had an order of 2.
And so
It will fill the bottom one first and the overflow will go into 2. And the symbol legend is the next 2 columns, next column in. The bottom symbol legend had an order of 1. The top symbol legend had an order of 2. So it will fill the bottom first and overflow into the second.
Yes, that's correct. So the actual number isn't important, just that the lowest number is going to be filled first and the higher number will be filled second. Now you'll see here that I'm missing the boundary, the line that went across here, because I didn't move all of the fills to the back before creating the legend and saving it. So that's something that is easily forgotten. But if you use your template after you've made it, you can just check to see if there's anything that's been forgotten. And typically we don't put boundaries around the second fill areas, simply because when they are not required, you don't really want this filled space here, perhaps blanking out some of your design if it's not going to be used for the overflow of the legend. So if the legends aren't necessary, and you don't have any overflow, that space is available for your design. So if you do need to make changes, again, it is very simple. Simply go back to Edit Template, and one of the things I left there was the rectangle. I've deleted it, and now I'm going to explode this legend and make sure that the fill is moved to the back. The fill, the placeholders are selected. Make legend, pipe 1, 50%, OK. And then remember to select everything before saving the template. And we can now use this new template in a design.
Your logo was a low profile rectangular logo. If someone had a higher profile rectangular logo, Can it be out in the space for the design and then movable once the legend has been created?
You would need to explode the legend to be able to get this out. So when you are placing it through the draw plot layout, it is one complete symbol. You can make temporary changes simply by exploding and making the changes you want. Just remember that all of these lines, etc., are editable. So if you find your logo is going to take up a bit of real estate, you can simply make an allowance for that. However, for permanent changes, you will want to be editing the template instead of just exploding the plot layout. You can use all the tools to edit, split, move down, and you might want a larger logo there anyway. Import the image. Move to back. Remember, when moving to back, it goes behind everything. So now I need to move the fills to the back to get everything in the correct order. You can select the lines and borders and move to front. When we were creating the detailed templates, we were adding a lot more lines and areas that we were going to be using for the additional information that we wanted on the plan. So that's a matter of drawing in lines and moving lines until you are happy. And that is where turning off the fills using TF on the keyboard really helps, so that the fill isn't selected when you are trying to select a word or a line that you want to adjust or move. You can also add other information. Here, for example, we've written some blurb about permissions, and I've just entered the company name as #flag#, which will come from the company dialog. So I hope that has given you a good overview of how to edit templates for your own use, the way that you want them to look. You can definitely do that. Please note that these templates are not transferable to Link because the methods that both programs use are quite different. IRRICAD Standalone uses a visual CAD symbol, so once you've saved it as a plot template, it is a visual CAD symbol, whereas IRRICAD Link uses AutoCAD and BricsCAD viewports into the model space. So they are completely different ways of doing things. So if you are exporting your designs from Standalone to Link, just remove your plot layouts before you do so.